on! I totally had him! Stupid thing must be broken! Oh, darn it, now I need a new mouse! But after some deep introspection, I think it's worth at least considering that this could be a skill issue, and it might not be worth spending $100 or more on something like this Razer Death Adder just so that I can miss heads in Counter-Strike. And why should I when our labs team found these mice on AliExpress that look like they are fresh out of the cloning tubes, but at less than half or even just a quarter of the price with brand name PixArt sensors? There is a solid chance then that these are good enough for my mediocre skills. That is, assuming that they aren't lying. These could save me and you a lot of money, but as we discovered, you can't just go around buying any cheap mouse. While they might look the same, sometimes beauty is only skin deep, unlike our beautiful sponsor. Pulseway. Don't let where you are prevent you from keeping an eye on your company's IT. With Pulseway, you can remotely monitor and manage your system thanks to their comprehensive mobile app. Check it out using our link in the video description and to get 40% off today. At first glance, there really is not a lot to differentiate these mice, apart from their colors. Our clones even went as far as to use similar molding techniques. You can actually see they've got a parting line right along this curved edge, just like our brand name option. But if we look closelier, we find that while our $40 MetaPanda P1 Pro and this $20 Attack Shark R1 are basically identical to each other, their molds do slightly differ from our Death Adder V3 Hyperspeed. Look, for example, at the main buttons. On the Razer, the bottom edge is a straight line. On our clones, there's a gentle arc. Moving on to the side buttons, on our clones, they're a little smaller, a little higher up, and they sit a little more proud of the body, all of which is fine, though I did find that the Razer positioning felt a little more natural from my thumb. The scroll wheels are nearly identical, but Razer has a nice little broken up texture here that helps you get a little bit more grip. Now let's flip them over. Razer stuck a combined power and DPI button on the bottom of their mouse, while the clones moved the DPI selection up to the top, which I actually prefer, leaving only power and connectivity controls on the bottom. Actually, this is one spot where the clones aren't physically identical. They clearly use the exact same mold still, but their power switches are in different orientations. Both of our clones include Bluetooth, something that Razer skipped out on this iteration of the Death Adder, in spite of its much higher price. While we've got these things flipped over, let's get some feet pics. No, not those feet. The Death Adder has these chonky PTFE hooves that glide smoothly over our WAN show desk pad. Now in 7 different sizes on lttstore.com, by the way, each at the same fair price. The pandas and the shark's fins, meanwhile, are more dainty, although our labs team found that in our still in beta friction test, their real world performance was actually similar or even better than the Razer. Now, we would have tested the friction of one more mouse's feet, but there was this whole thing with the wrong batteries and things got a little explodey. Anyway, stay tuned, friction tests coming soon, TM. In any case, the mouse that's conspicuously missing from our story so far is Razer's wired-only Death Adder Essential with its more exaggerated styling that threads the needle between our two clones at about $30 US. It honestly feels cheaper than any of the other mice, even the ones that don't cost as much, but it just would have felt wrong to exclude Razer's own low-cost option from this little roundup. Now, before we talk about the guts, I want to see if any of the differences between these mice are immediately noticeable to an admittedly mediocre gamer, starting with a feel test. Yep, the Essential really just, I don't know what it is. Even with this texture on the side, it just doesn't feel as easy to lift. How is a wired mouse this much heavier than all these wireless ones? Also on the heavier side is the Panda. Both the Attack Shark and the Razer Hyperspeed are noticeably lighter. Maybe should have laid off the bamboo. As for the main buttons, honestly, there's not really much to differentiate these. If I had to pick a favorite, it would actually be the Panda. The other two feel okay, and for the side buttons, I gotta give the edge to Razer. And believe it or not, that goes for the durability rating of the Switches too. Razer and the Panda are rated for 80 million clicks on their top buttons, while that goes down to 20 million and just 10 million for the Attack Shark and the Essential respectively. All 4 of our mice use different PixArt sensors, with the Razer units using tweaked Razer exclusive variants and our 2 clones dropping the act of being the same thing. The Panda looks a little bit better on paper thanks to its PixArt 3395, but the Attack Shark should still be reasonable. But enough just looking at them. Let's game and see if I can feel a difference. It's nice and light. I got them a couple times. What can I say? This thing feels great. Come on. What? Oh my God. It dumped me out of the game to prompt me to install my stupid Razer software. All right, well, that's a dubious honor. Razer is the only one that successfully got me killed so far. Let's step down to the Panda. Obviously, we're gonna be using it in 2.4 gigahertz mode. A little bit of a misnomer given that Bluetooth is also 2.4 gigahertz, but hey, whatever, you know. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this thing so far. Now that I'm actually gaming on it, it is quite a bit heavier than the Death Adder, but the way that they've distributed the weight still makes it feel considerably lighter than the Attack Shark for me. Feels great. Heavier. I can feel the strain, but they've done a pretty good job with the weight distribution, and it still, I think, is gonna be better than the Attack Shark, even if the Razer felt noticeably lighter once I was actually gaming on it. Speaking of the Attack Shark, let's give her a chance. One thing I can tell you for sure already, Jordan, is that there is no way on this green earth that I would go and buy a paperweight like this thing when this exists.
You haven't even tried it yet.
It's so heavy. Oh, someone went by right, oh boy. Ah! What? How much is this mouse again though? 20 bucks?
20 bucks.
Dude, if you could get a mouse like this for 20 bucks when I was a kid, I would have been freaking thrilled. For 20 bucks, it feels great. I realistically don't think that I can tell the difference between any of these, especially considering that I haven't even dialed the DPI in on any of these mice. All of them are completely usable, and I would be thrilled to have them for anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks, which I guess is an issue for the Razer Hyperspeed, but there is this one as well. You can try the other Razer. Yeah, wow, it's heavy. Dude, this feels like going from a carbon badminton racket to a freaking like aluminum one. I feel slow, dude. Theoretically, I'm warmed up and I should be able to like get some guys. Oh, come on, come on. Whoa, it's just so slow. Okay, let's go back to what should theoretically be our best option again and see if I'm just getting worse because I'm like getting tired or something, okay? I can't complain about the Razer. It feels great. Okay, after a second look at the Panda, if I had to give something the edge, it would have to be the Razer Hyperspeed, but I don't know if that's down to any difference in performance or latency or anything like that, or if it's just down to the difference in weight. Frankly, they all seem like they track just fine to me, but my podium would be Razer, Panda, Shark, in that order. Oh, is this where I get labs results?
Yep.
Ah, good. Well, let's find out if I'm right. The Death Adder V3 Hyperspeed is in a league of its own with sub 2 millisecond latency. It also delivered flawless tracking even at high DPI settings, meaning that you can rely on it in fast-paced shooters for high precision tasks. One mark against it is that if you want to get full use of its 8,000 hertz polling rate, you need the hyper polling dongle, which is another $20 or $30, depending if you get it as a bundle. Okay, so it's good. Mind you, I don't know yet if the other ones are better. Meanwhile, the MetaPanda P1 Pro is impressive at its $40 price. It handled lower DPI settings well, with consistent tracking during most gameplay, though it did have trouble with some very rapid movements, and the latency, while quite consistent, was a bit of a letdown. Not bad, it's just not on par with some of the best mice on the market. The Attack Shark R1 trailed behind its almost twin with noticeable jitter during faster movements and less consistent latency that can feel worse than its 10.8 milliseconds indicates. The lab also found that the Attack Shark had some battery life issues. They think it could be just our sample, but we haven't been able to confirm that, so take it under advisement. Still, for 20 bucks, I would have a really hard time complaining about this mouse. As for our late edition, the $30 Death Adder Essential, well, the latency is great, on par with its more expensive brother. It's also 30 or 40 grams heavier though than the rest of these mice, which could be a good or a bad thing depending on your personal preference. Otherwise, it finds itself hanging out between the Shark and Panda across the board, leaning closer to one or the other for accuracy, depending on the DPI settings, with its lone win being its cable length at 170 millimeters. So in conclusion, is it worth paying a premium for something like this? Maybe. The extremely low latency, not to mention lightweight of a mouse like the Death Adder V3 Hyperspeed is a big plus for the most demanding games, and especially for demanding gamers. But the thing is, that might not be you, and it might not be me. So, with that said, the Attack Shark, it's no slouch for the price, but I still see it as more the mouse you keep in your backpack for your laptop than the one that you would daily drive on your desktop, which I guess leaves us with the $40 MetaPanda P1 Pro in our sweet spot. Good accuracy, great precision, and stable, if not amazing latency, even if pandas aren't as cool as sharks. Oh my God, did we just say that? Them's fighting words. I didn't read the conclusion before because I wanted to, try to feel the differences, but good Lord, you've started a war. Just don't let any innocents be caught in the crossfire. Like our sponsor.
Pulseway. Why rely on a game of telephone when you're addressing critical IT failures or errors? Ring, 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 ring. Who knows? Will there even be anyone on the other end of the line to pick up and help? With Pulseway's remote monitoring and management software, you can hang up the phone and take control from your phone. Their mobile app lets you take swift action and solve issues before they snowball into larger problems. You can get real-time alerts and notifications, and you can even implement fixes, set and bulk deploy policies, and just take full control of individual systems, all without having to be at your desk. So don't wait. Use our link today in the video description to try Pulseway for free or to unlock an LMG exclusive 40% off their annual or multi-year plans.
If you guys enjoyed this, well, it's not a video, but why not check out the lab's website, lttlabs.com. We've even got a recent blog article showing how we test mice like these ones.